So writing, I think, is just one of the greatest things that people can do. And if you can take the time to put something out there, edit it, make it useful to others, that's a micro form of product, right? A company's a product's a product, and a well-written article is also a product. And I think it's really helpful for not just others, but ultimately clarifying your own thoughts. When I'm struggling with something, writing about it can be a very useful thing for me and me alone. Obviously diaries and journals exist, but this is like, I do like to do it publicly so I can get a little bit of, benefit, not just to myself, but to others. So that has been helpful. And one thing that I focused on with folks is the storytelling element. I think some of my more popular articles that I've written for others have to do around how to craft a venture narrative, right? Whether you're raising money or not, doesn't really matter, but how do you tell a narrative that really paints this, wow, if this works, this could be big. How do you communicate that to others? That is something I'm obsessed with, because I think, more and more tech is weirdly becoming easier and easier. Actually, ChatGPT, great. You can show up to that thing and learn almost anything about anything at this point. Fantastic. Yeah. The stuff that truly differentiates companies, and always has, is how strong of a narrative can you put out there that others can absorb and repeat to, their peers. That's how some of the biggest companies get built. It's just very, very simple. Uber, taxi on demand, for mobile. It's like some of these things are just so obvious, but getting good at that storytelling has been very helpful for me, and I think helpful for others. And so each of those articles is in its own way a tiny little story. And now I'm dabbling with video too, because I think, the world has moved, increasingly, into this kind of multi-medium, but I will still write before producing something because I really want to make sure that I have something substantive that's exciting to learn about.
So why are you doing that in addition to achieving clarity for yourself? Like now you're doing more video. Like, do you feel that you need to create your own kind of audience and it would be helpful for your future businesses? I'll explain to you why I'm asking you is because I have this mission to try to help some of my favorite super successful exited founders to speak more about what it is they're doing. I've noticed that some people learn the lesson of humility a bit too much. Like they succeed and then the next thing they do, they keep very, very quiet about. So I was hoping you will help me inspire them to think differently and share what they're doing with the world a bit more generously.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Well, so I am one of those people, which is part of the reason I'm doing this. There's a number of reasons. Number one, the more you tell your story, the better your story gets, the more you will attract teammates that want to work with you, the more you build, a brand for partnerships or investors, and the easier it'll be for, customers to find you as well. And I think, again, the more that tech becomes commodity in a way, the only differentiator is great story. And so it's really worth putting yourself out there to hone the craft. And you can't get better at storytelling by yourself. That's just not how it works. You have to test it on others. And you can test it one-on-one, or you can test it 1 on 1,000, right? 1 on 1,000, you'll learn a lot more quickly, but it's scary. And I think there's the normal reasons it's scary, humility and shyness. For me, it actually comes from imposter syndrome, deep down. It's, if I put myself out there and I'm a little bit wrong, people who are far more intelligent on this topic will find me and shame me publicly, and I will feel stupid, and then my whole world will collapse. Right. And that's just not true. It's like, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's like, look, if you're an entrepreneur, you probably know quite a bit about your domain, more than probably the average. And so you not putting your thoughts out there is actually worse for the world. You're holding back on hard-won lessons that fewer people than you have. Please share them. People want to hear. And yes, you'll always be wrong on something, and there will always be critics. But that's been true for you as an entrepreneur. You've had that struggle with customers and investors and trying to recruit. What's different about putting yourself out there like this? I think if you can get past that imposter syndrome and realize that you truly do know these things, you will be so much better for it. Now, I'm telling you this and still feeling that internally, even with a smile on my face, even putting, whatever of myself online, it's still deep inside of me. And I think just the way to break it is to form the habit. I think it's just that's practice. That's all it is. But you know more than you think, and get over yourself and help others.
Absolutely. I absolutely love it, because people get very surprised when they hear that they may be selfish by not, in a way, self-promoting, right? It feels counterintuitive, but it's so true if you just look at it from a different perspective.
I don't remember. I saw some clip of a woman saying exactly this. It's selfish not to share. And that was maybe it was a TED Talk. That was the key. Oh, yep. Yeah. Like, got it. Now I can't unsee it. You're right. There are people, younger or newer in the field than I am that want to learn this stuff. There are people that might want to work on what I'm working on if only they could hear about it. People might want to purchase it. People might want to follow along. Why am I holding it back?